It's that time of the week again. It's Trader Chat with Johnny Ward and Flynn Goward, and obviously we've had a fairly quiet time, but on the racing front, the loss of Her Majesty the Queen affecting the program, but we did have a lot of movement in terms of the ARC market. The decision of Connections of Baaid to skip it and go to the Champion Stakes, for which he's going to be a mad short price, not go to the ARC, where obviously he would have to prove his stamina. And the fellow who runs the bar in my local boozer is on Luxembourg at 20s each way for the ARC. So he basically just smiles every time I go in now, which is a little bit too often. We also had the Kerry National today, which was full of drama, some of it not good. We obviously lost Rock Road, fatally injured. But what would have happened had Hewick jumped the last? And if he were to get a rise in the weights, does this mean he's a Gold Cup contender? We'll talk about that. Obviously, Erling Haaland has just been in insane form, and we're going to talk about Premier League liabilities and a little bit of boxing as well. How are you, Flynn?
I'm very good, thank you. We're both rejuvenated after differing holidays, aren't we? Were you in Greece somewhere? It looked a bit Greek islandish.
I was. It was stunning. It was absolutely stunning, and I didn't want to come home. Where were you?
I was in Porto Pollença in the north of the Mallorcan island. So we had 12 days away with Arthur and Esme. So it was nice to get Arthur away in the swimming pool in the sea, and he was good on the flights, which is always a bonus.
And he did his first steps today.
Yeah, first steps, taking two or three steps. So since we last spoke, plenty has changed. Back onto the sporting front, though, like you say, we're in a bit of a lull at the moment, aren't we? We've also got the international break. Racing is kind of nearing the end of the flat season. We've also got Champions Day, we've got the Arcs, we've still got those marquee days, but it does feel a bit lullish at the moment, if that's even a word. But we've still got plenty to talk about, like you said, about the Arc, the Triomphe market. Some big shake-ups here, obviously, with Baaid being declared as if he's going to go to the Champions Stakes, the Willie Haggas. The show of betting for the Arc, Luxembourg's in there at 4-1, Alpinista's in there at 11-2, Tokuta Tasso, which I really struggled to say actually, is 13-2, Adayar is 7-1, title holder 7-1, and then Vedini is 8-1, who's obviously been announced that he's going to go for this race as well. So,
yeah, and Onesto ran so well at Leopardstown in at 9s, Hookham at 16s. I think the key with this race, Flynn, is that we're talking a little bit out from it. And even though obviously there's been severe droughts across Europe this year, it's still kind of hard to know what the ground will be like come the Arc. And that is the key. You have Baaid 4-5, non-1-0 best, but Luxembourg at 4s. Presuming he gets a bit of nice ground, and considering he's probably still going to progress from Leopardstown, you've got to give him a big chance.
Is this a really bad Arc?
You've obviously a previous winner in the race. Alpinista 11-2. It's not great. And like, in fairness to Luxembourg, he did win the Champion Stakes, but he wasn't an impressive winner of the Champion Stakes. It was a good Champion Stakes. Strange enough race. I'm not sure if everything in the race ran its race. Vedini was probably a bit unlucky. Wouldn't be certain about him getting a mile and a half, though.
No, me neither. I think it's a pretty poor race. I mean, I've never been too taken with Luxembourg. I remember us doing trader chats before the Guineas. You were Luxembourg's biggest fan, weren't you? You absolutely loved the horse and probably still do. But I've just never really been that taken with him, to be honest. I don't think he was uber impressive when winning the Irish Champion Stakes a good few weeks ago. I just think it's a really poor race. I can't really put a selection up because there's not a huge amount I fancy in there. It'll be one on the day, but I think I'll be taking on Luxembourg. Even though Alpinista's got so many ones next to its name, I can't see that one going to win an Arc. It would be peculiar seeing Luke Morris style on an Arc winner. This is something that you probably wouldn't have imagined seeing. But in terms of liabilities for us on the race, Tokuta Tasso is one of the biggest losers. We had a really, really heavy bet, anti-post, just having a look here, at 8-1. So very, very big bet at 8-1. So that would be a big loser. As would Bay Bridge, who I'm not sure is actually going to be an intended runner, but we've made a very big bet there at 33-1. Just seeing if Bay Bridge is still here within the market. It's still in there at 33, so still in the market. Not sure if it's going to go. I wouldn't even be sure if it had much of a chance, to be honest. He'll probably go and win now. But every other horse in the race is a decent winner. The biggest price we laid Luxembourg at was 14-1. So your pal who runs the pub down the road got the value with someone else and not with us here at Star Sports. But I'll be expecting you to take an account form down there, Johnny, and getting him opened up. But yeah, 14-1 Luxembourg is the biggest price we've laid about that one. But it'll be an interesting race come the start of October.
Yeah, so maybe the Turkish or Tasso better. He or she might know a little bit more about the ground, because I think that's going to be absolutely key to his chances. Also, betting on the Prix de l'Opera and the couple of other markets as well. So Prix de l'Opera Nash was a 13-8 favourite. I think, as Flynn says, it doesn't look the strongest arc in the world. Obviously, the ground is going to have a massive influence. The draw is going to have a big influence as well. But I think the one thing with Luxembourg, he's a certainty to improve for the mile and a half, and it'll be all very interesting. You mentioned my mate down the Boozer. I think he rode out for Ado McGuinness back in the day, and Ado McGuinness has had a good Listowel, but Hewick did not have a good Listowel, and this was a remarkable story in the Kerry National today, Flynn, because the horse running off 163, who was bought for buttons, really bought for less than $1,000, was in my view going to win the Kerry National, and he only came down at the last. But at least, unlike Connections of Rock Road, he lives to fight another day.
Yeah. Obviously, condolences to Connections. Never like to see it in any race, obviously, and did mar the race, obviously. But Hewick, we have to talk about the performance from Hewick, even though not going on to win the race. Obviously, unseated rider at last, was travelling so well. It's been a bit of a winning machine. Like I say, winning the Beverly 65 at Sandown, coming second in that big handicap hurdle, Ballin Robe, but then going over to Galway and obviously winning the Galway Plate, and then running up 163 here. You'd have to say a little bit unfancied at around 9-1. But yeah, I mean, it was going to be a fantastic performance. And when you're running off those big weights, 11 stone 12 here, you have to talk about proper races. And we put him into the Cheltenham Gold Cup market at 40-1. It seems mad to be talking about the Gold Cup in September, but we know that we're going to do it. So you're 40-1 Hewick. We are actually top price 40-1. I just think that if a horse is performing so well in September, you've got to be some training forms to get in there in March in the same vein of form or even better. And obviously still needs to continue improving, but still, well, it was going to be a bit of a monstrous performance today, wasn't it?
It was, and I think a horse like that emerging into the Gold Cup market, we've had like the likes of Synchronized before come from the sort of handicap route and get it and win a Gold Cup. Stranger things have happened. His trainer is Shark Hanlon, who I met at the Dogs, Flynn, on Saturday night. I was actually working a bit on TV for the Irish Greyhound Derby, not sponsored by Star Sports, obviously, unlike the big one in Britain. But it's final time on Saturday. I think Shark has a leg in one of the runners, who apparently he was only seen for the first time, despite the fact that the dog is in the Greyhound final. But they're just betting on it. Callaway Pro-Am, who has won every single round, 2-1. Ballymacfin, threes, probably would be where my money would go. Born Warrior 10-3. Crafty Kokoro, desperately reliant on luck, but she stays all day 7-2. Marie's Wedding 8-1. And 25's Droopy's Night 1. And there'll be a lot of crack with your old buddy Ian Fortune at the Dogs on Saturday night.
Yeah, pretty competitive here. I mean, look, I'm not the biggest dog racing fan as many other people on the firm. I mean, obviously Ben loves it, Lofty loves it, and a lot of people at Star Sports do. I do like the dogs, but I wouldn't be a form book judge man of the dogs by any means. So I haven't really been watching the Irish Greyhound Derby, but like I say, very competitive betting heat. How did you manage to get the gig over there, Johnny?
I was put forward by a friend for the role, and like, talk about my dream job, like literally my dream job. I talked about the betting for 20 seconds before the race. I interviewed the winning connections for about 40 seconds after the race. And not only that, you were finished at 9 o'clock. So you were basically out on a Saturday night at the Dogs, straight up the bar, job done, and still 4 races to punt on or whatever it was. What a job.
Right. It's about who you know, isn't it, Johnny?
This is it. And talent, obviously.
Well,
yeah, I want to get to the Star Sports Greyhound Derby in Toaster. It was sort of bandied about that it might be a front of house for some of the races last year. Could still happen. I want to be front of house and lay a few bets with the great man Lofty and Ben Keith beside me. Who knows?
Well, not me.
You're not really a dog man, though, are you?
No. I normally do the secondary pitch. I normally go and help set it all up, and then I go and stand to the side on number 2 pitch. I save my kind of big performances for Cheltenham and the Royal Ascot and the like. I kind of step to the side for the dogs happily. I think we need to move on to football now, Johnny. There's been a lot going on in the Prem.
We do indeed. So I did a show with David Connolly, ex-Ireland striker, on the radio before the start of the season. And he basically said Erling Haaland is a certainty to finish top scorer. And I think he was 11-4 top price with Star Sports at the time. He's certainly not that now.
He is not. I mean, it's just been something else watching him, isn't it? He's 5-on now, Erling Haaland. So 5-on. Harry Kane 17-2. Jesus is 12-1, 16-1 Sarah, and then 22 bar. It's not even worth talking about it, really. We are a third 2 places. I've never really seen the each way odds be slashed so quickly and terms be slashed so quickly across the board for a market so early into the season. That seems to have happened because it would have been one of the worst each ways ever. But yeah, so Erling Haaland, obviously,
and it was
Sean
announced
right up.
today that Norway are playing Ireland later on this year in a friendly game, and you're literally thinking, hell of a coup from the FAI, and Erling Haaland will literally sell out Lansdowne Road on his own.
Exactly. I mean, nobody's going to catch him, are they?
Nobody's going to catch them. I don't see that. I think Liverpool are, well, it's fairly obvious Liverpool are wobbling. But what are the sort of liabilities, because City just win the league now?
Yeah, I'm just going to get the top goal scorer mark up. I'm just trying to find it where we actually are here. Bear with me just 2 seconds. I know that we laid him quite heavily in a few of the shops, Haaland, so I know that it'll be a poor result there.
Your beloved Arsenal not doing badly at all.
No. I mean, if we have a look at the outright market quickly, where are we? There we are. So 2-7 City, 8-1 Liverpool, 10-1 Arsenal. I think we were about 50 pre-season. Spurs in there at 14-1. There'd be a similar price to what they were pre-season. Spurs, Chelsea there at 33, and then United 33 as well. Spurs feel a little bit big at 14, to be fair.
Yeah,
only
with
1
Son
point
back
behind
among the
Arsenal.
goals.
What's that? Sorry.
With Son back among the goals, like he definitely wasn't at his levels. He got a hat trick the weekend, and now they have that kind of four really strong attacking players kind of fighting for. And if Kane hasn't really hit form yet, so yeah, they definitely have a top 2 chance, I think.
Well, if they're a 14-point pre-season and they're only 1 point off the lead now, and they're still 14-1, so you can't argue that too much. Whereas Arsenal were 50, I know that we've shown a lot, but we've still not done it against big teams. My worry with Arsenal is that we're going to beat all the teams that we're meant to beat. We're going to dominate, and then when we come against the big teams, we're just not going to quite get it done. We'll probably look good. We'll have a lot of possession, and then I would imagine we'll get hit on the counter like happened against United. What will be interesting is when we play a team that also likes to have possession, because then it'll be that battle of the press. So when we play Liverpool, when we play City. I think when we play against Spurs, I think they'll try and counter-attack, and I think Chelsea will do the same. So I think we'll struggle in those games. When teams try to take us on, I think we'll actually be all right. I'll be more interested to see us get to City or Liverpool as opposed to a Tottenham or Chelsea. But it'll be interesting to see where we go. If we finish anywhere in top 4, that'll be obviously a very successful season for us. In terms of outrights for the Prem, we've got 3 losers in the book. West Ham always loses for us because we have some punters that like to play them at a big price, so they'd be a big loser. Spurs are also very, very strong losers. Just trying to see what price we've laid about Spurs. Biggest price would be 25-1, laid all the way down to 11s. And then United are also losers, laid a decent bet there at 50-1. So with the field winning, albeit not the most lucrative book in the world, but that is not a bad looking book thus far. City aren't losers for us. Obviously, been a pretty short price throughout. I do get the impression I think City might just pile on the pressure throughout the year. Do you think?
Absolutely, and they look like a team that if you're going to score 3, we'll just score 4. And what's fascinating, just looking at the markets here, the next person behind Mohamed Salah in the top goal scorer market is Alexander Mitrovic, who's he's actually 5th in at 22. Salah has 16s. He's obviously had a creaky start to the season. And you've never mentioned it, Flynn, the Haaland special. I spoke about him finishing top scorer 11-4 at the start of the season. He's obviously not that now, but he is 11-4 to get 35 or more Premier League goals. I actually wouldn't like to lay that.
Oh, it's a big ask, isn't it? But then the other day, well, not the other day, I can't remember what game it was now, but Rory, our head of football here, it was half time and we'd laid 20-1 Haaland score a hat trick. And we were looking at each other and Rory said, oh, that's such a poor price, that. Like, as in, it seems really, really short that. There's only 45 minutes to go. He might get brought off. 20-1 score a hat trick. And he duly went and scored the 3 goals. I've gone home from shift and I've messaged Rory saying, how's that even managed to happen? And he was like, well, it happened because I said it was a poor price. But yeah, 11-4 to get 35 or more Premier League goals. That's on under the outrights on the football. Just looking at the top goal scorer outrights, it was the big bet that we laid was 30 grand at 5-4 on Haaland. That was back on the 8th of September. So I believe I think he scored a brace, and he shortened into 5-4 from around 100 to 33 to 1. So then we laid the 30 grand at 5-4. Biggest price we laid about Haaland would be 9-2. Laid a decent bet.
9-2.
A few monkeys worth at 4-1. Just a few more bets at 3-1. So Haaland would have been very, very popular. It's a decent loser. It's about nearly a 50 grand loser for us here at Star. So again, not huge, but in these kind of derivative markets would be a decent haul for some punters, and not the best result for us. I guess we should talk about a bit relegation as well, because Bournemouth obviously gone very short there at 2-1. Nottingham Forest are in there at 8-15. Leicester, I'm just not sure what's going to happen to Leicester. They're banging trouble, aren't they? They're in there at 15-8. Southampton 9-4. Everton 3-1 with Frank getting a win the other weekend, and then Wolves are 7-2. What's your thoughts on the relegation market, Johnny?
You'd imagine Leicester should be okay. I don't know how long. Rodgers has there, but I mean, I know they've had some kind of key losses. Schmeichel maybe has been a loss, but they got to improve on that. In fairness to Bournemouth, they've been quite competitive actually since they changed the manager, and I haven't seen much of Forest, but they've spent a lot of money. Everton at 3s, maybe slightly tempting. Wolves 7-2. Wolves have a terrible record of scoring goals, while it's actually playing quite well. And then you're into the realms of Fulham are already 5s, which is unbelievable after the start they've had.
Yeah, definitely. It's a very interesting market. You kind of got the lights gone off again. Hang on. Let me get the lights on. There we go. Very professional as always.
There we go.
There you go. So obviously Forest and Bournemouth have solidified themselves within that market as they would not want to be. And it's kind of all to play for after that. Not huge liabilities in this one for us. Leicester, we've actually laid a little bit of, just looking here, Leicester would be losers in the market. Laid as big as 16-1 Leicester, and then we laid a decent bet 5-1. And obviously that's a little bit shorter now as well. So not much faith in Leicester. Obviously they've not reinvested a lot of money. They've siphoned a lot of money out of the club whenever they're selling players, and they're not reinvesting. That's obviously where they're struggling. But you'd think with Brendan Rodgers, hopefully they can turn it around. Can't see him walking away just because he doesn't really need to. And they won't want to pay him off because they've not got much money, have they? The business behind Leicester, so they're in a bit of longer term trouble, Leicester, as opposed to just short term, which is obviously a big issue.
Absolutely, and yeah, a bit of fight shown from the teams at the bottom of late, who are obviously expected, especially the two or three of the promoted teams. Just one last point on Haaland. His goal on Saturday, I think, was the first time he scored outside the box in over a year. It was also with his right foot. Which I think is a bit alarming if you've laid any Haaland, because if he starts scoring goals outside the box and with his bad foot, in addition to everything else he's doing, he's the type of player that you could get a 9 out of 10 job marking him, and he'd still score 2 or 3 goals because he just does it in a flash. So I can't wait to see him in Dublin anyway. Let's talk a little bit of boxing before we finish up.
Yeah, boxing, and I think I'll just touch on golf quickly afterwards as well. Boxing, we've obviously got some decent bouts coming up. One to talk about from this weekend would be Joe Joyce versus Joseph Parker. Look, when we're looking at boxing matches, a lot of them are very, very one-sided, and this can sound one-sided because Joe Joyce is 4-9, the draw 18-1, and Joseph Parker 7-4. But in boxing terms, is obviously a fairly straight fight. We've got the method of victory, round betting, group round betting, total rounds completed, etc., up there. So loads of markets there. We've also got priced up Eubank versus Conor Benn. Chris Eubank's 4-9. The draw 20-1, and Conor Benn is 15-8. They're obviously meeting at the middle in terms of weights. Can't remember off the top of my head what weight it's actually at. But Chris Eubank's obviously coming down in weight, and Conor Benn will obviously be piling on the pounds and coming up. But that probably suits Chris Eubank Jr. more because he's the bigger man if he can actually end up making the weight. That's on the Saturday, the 8th of October. So that's one to keep an eye on. That's also going to be a huge fight. And then golf at the moment, the golf world is in a bit of uproar with the whole live golf versus PGA Tour. This week we've got the President's Cup, which is their version of kind of the Ryder Cup. If you didn't know, you've got Team USA versus the Internationals. You think it's going to be very one-sided. USA 2-15, the tie 16-1, international team of 13-2. We've got the correct score. We've got the two top USA point scorer. Scotty Scheffler favourite at 11-2, Cantlay 6-1, 6-1 Schauffele, 13-2 JT, and then 8-1 Sam Burns. Then we've got top international point scorer Matsuyama's in there at favourite 5-1, Sungjae Im 11-2, Corey Connors 13-2, Jun Kim 13-2 and 7 bar. Loads of other specials markets to get involved in. So even though it looks like it will be a one-sided affair, there is loads of other markets to get stuck into. Combined rookie, internationals rookie, US rookie, combined point scorer. I actually really like these markets. I love getting involved in them, especially in the Ryder Cup. So do check those out for the golf. We've obviously got the DP World Tour goes over to France this week, which was the host for the Ryder Cup when it was back in Europe the last time. Le Golf National, Patrick Reed, the controversial Patrick Reed, your favourite there at 14. Thomas Peters 14, Jordan Smith at 18, and then McIntyre 18, as well as Perez. One that liked at a slightly bigger price here was Laurie Cantor, that's in there at 60-1. He obviously plays on the Live Golf Tour. He's coming back over to the DP World Tour, so he's striking the ball very, very well. I think he's just gone under the radar a little bit because he's been playing on the other tour as opposed to on the DP World Tour. But he's been striking it really, really well. So give him a chance at 60. And Andy Sullivan in there, just trying to find what price Andy Sullivan actually is. He's 33-1 now. Again, in very, very good nick, played well at Wentworth. I think he shot the lowest round on the first day at Wentworth. So Andy Sullivan at 33 and Laurie Cantor at 60 are just a couple to take in the golf in the Kazoo Open in France this week. So even though it's not top quality stuff, it does feel like it's on the horizon when we get into the arc for racing. The golf's going to be looking good for this week. And then Premier League will be back after the Nations League break.
Absolutely. Live and let live, except when it comes to greedy golfers. We hope you enjoyed the show. And if you are at the Dogs on Saturday night, do come over and say hello and potentially buy me a pint, you know, if you're that way inclined. It's going to be fun. 2-1 the field. And lots of fun the weekend with the football, the golf and racing, building up to the arc next month. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.